Okay. So exam 2 review, the structure of the exam was similar to the first exam. You're familiar with it. You solve about 15 problems, and then you upload the file with your Schoenberg. Please make a PDF of the file. Hague files will be graded much later. So because they are only very inconvenient to open. Okay. Okay. So, and the first problem, and you are welcome to ask questions during the lecture. I will be glad to answer and to stop if you have any questions. The first problem, we have a piecewise function. It means it's given with two different equations on different intervals. So for if x is less than 4, if you make it on a graph, we have the boundary point at 4. If it is less than 4, then we have a graph like 5x. And starting from if x is greater than 4 or equal to 4, we have 8 minus x. So minus x will be something like this. So here we have an empty dot, something like this. There's it's not a scaled graph, just to show that it continues here. To show that we have two different equations for different intervals on x. So if you want to determine the function value at a given value of x, you first determine what interval to use. Okay, f of -3. -3 is less than 4, therefore we use interval 1. So the first line 1. Less than 4, we look at the line 1 and substitute. We use the function equation from the line 1. 5 times -3 equals -15. F of 0. F of 0. 0 is also less than 4. It means we also use line 1. 5 times 0 is 0. F of 4. 4 is equal to 4. So the second interval, x is greater than or equal to 4. It means we use the interval, the second interval, line 2. So we take the function equation from the second line, 8 minus x, x equals to 4. So 8 minus 4 and equals 4. F of 4 is 4. You do not use both equations at the same time. You first choose what equation to use, and then you substitute x. Find the slope of the line passing through the points 2 and 4, -5, 8. Okay, the slope is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. y2 is 9, so this is the first point, this is the second point. y2 minus y1, 9 minus 4, x2 minus x1. It is important that the second point is on the first place, both in the numerator and in the denominator. So x2 minus x1, -5 minus 2. Okay, and simplify. 9 minus 4, 5. -5 minus 2, -7. -7. Okay, the slope is -5/7. And you simplify if needed. Indicate whether the line through the points rises, falls, or is horizontal or is vertical. Okay, the slope is negative. Therefore, the line falls. The next equation, also equation of the lines, since all the terms are linear terms, 4y plus 3x plus 9 equals 0. Rewrite in slope-intercept form, give the slope and the intercept. It means we must solve the equation for y. Solve for y. Okay. So 4y plus 3x plus 9 equal to 0. We must isolate y on the left. So let us subtract 3x and subtract 9 from the left and from the right of the equation. Subtract 3x, subtract 9. So we get 4y on the left and negative 3x, negative 9 on the right. And then we divide by 4 on the left and on the right. Be careful, we divide every term on the left and on the right. On the left we get y, on the right. So we divide every term by 4. Negative 3x over 4. So negative 3 4x. Negative 9 over 4. Negative 9 fourth. Okay, and this is the slope and this is the intercept. So the slope is negative 3/4 and the y-intercept is negative 9/4. Okay, the most questions are fill-in-blank questions, so you will have to type the answers. So you can type fractions with a slash. Don't use mathematic feature. I think the slash is, I'm not sure whether it will recognize it. Just type it with slash. Write an equation for the line passing through 2, -6, and parallel to the line whose equation is y equals -5x plus 3. Write an equation for the line and slope intercept form. Okay. So the line whose equation is parallel to the line, to this line. When the lines are parallel, it means they have the same slope. So our line will have the slope m equal -5. This is the first condition. Second condition, it passes through the point 2, -6. -6. Okay, we have a slope, we have a point. We can write the equation in point-slope form. This is x1, this is y1. Point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let us substitute. Y minus y1 is -6, so minus -6 equals m. M is also given already. -5 times x minus x1, which is 2. And then we simplify. On the left we have y plus 6. On the right we multiply -5 by x, -5x. -5 times -2 plus negative times negative plus 5 times 2, 10 plus 10. Okay, in a slope-intercept form, we must have y alone on the left. So let us subtract 6 from the left and from the right. And then we get y equals -5x plus 10 minus 6 plus 4. So the equation in slope-intercept form. This is the line parallel to the given line, since it has the same slope and passing through 2, -6. Okay, for f of x equal 5x and g of x equal 9 minus x, evaluate the following function. F circle g of 2. So we must find f circle g of 2. Okay, f circle g, the notation f circle g means the composite function, a composite function with the f external function f taken at the point g of x. So, and for x we have 2. F of g of 2. It means we first thing, we find g of 2, which is 9 minus 2 equals 7. And then we substitute this g of 2 and find f of 7. Now we take the equation of f of x, which is 5x, and substitute 7. 5 times 7 equals 35. Some variants will have a different equations, like f of x equals square root of x, g of x equals some linear function. So f circle g means the same thing. We want to find f a minute. Okay. We find f at the point g at 2. So, and first we find g of 2. g of 2 is 11. Substitute 2 for x. Minus 2 equals 9. And then we find the second step. We find g at 9, which is square root of 9, and which is 3. Write an equation in standard form of the parabola that has the same shape as the graph of 5x squared or negative 5x squared, but with a given maximum. Okay. A parabola has a maximum. It means it looks like this. It must have a maximum. Some variants will have minimum. So if you have a minimum, then it will be like this. So the parabola has a maximum. It means it is open upward, and it will have plus the form for plus 5x squared. Yes, so it means it must have the same form, not like this. Oops, wait a minute. So it was wrong. Negative, of course. Open downward, negative 5x squared. So this form, not this. And we know the coordinates of the maximum. So we must write the equation in standard form. Standard form is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Yes, and these are the coordinates of the vertex. Okay, and the maximum is the vertex. So the equation of the parabola will be negative 5. Instead of x, we write x minus h. X minus, so H is 3, K is the y-coordinate of the vertex, so x minus -3, okay, let's write -3, and everything squared, plus K, and K is -6. And let us simplify it a little. Y equals -5 times x plus 3 squared minus 6. The equation in standard form. Given a function, a polynomial function in factored form, find the degree and the leading coefficient of the function. Okay, the leading coefficient, so here, all the, you have x here, x here, x here. The coefficient is here because the other two x's, they are not multiplied by anything, so the leading coefficient is -8. What about the degree? The degree, and it is added, so we must add the degrees, all the degrees that we have on x. So we have 3x cubed. Let us we have x cubed, then we have x minus 3 to the 5th. If you will open the parentheses, you will have the leading term with x fifth to the 5th, and we have x to the 1st. So if you add the powers together, you will get 3 plus 5 plus 1. The degree of the polynomial is 8. So the greatest exponent, if you multiply all the factors, the highest degree on x will be 8. Okay, consider the function -x squared plus 24x minus 9, quadratic function. Determine whether the function has a minimum value or maximum value. Find the minimum maximum value and determine where it occurs. So actually find the vertex. Find the vertex of the parabola and tell whether it opens upward or downward. Okay, negative 4x squared, so the leading coefficient is negative. It means the parabola is open downward and it has a maximum. Value. Now let us find this maximum value. Okay, we know the formula for the x-coordinate of the vertex, -b divided by 2a. Okay, so what is b, what is a? B is the coefficient by x, and a is the coefficient by x squared. So b equals to 24, and a equals to -4. Let us find h. So -24 divided by 2 times -4. So negative divided by negative will be positive, and we have 24 divided by 8, which is 3. So the maximum occurs at x equals 3. What is the value of the maximum? We must find f of 3. We must substitute 3 into the equation. So -4 times 3 squared, which is 9, plus 24 times 3 minus 9. Okay, -36 plus 72 minus 9. So -72 minus 36 will be 36 minus 9, 27. Okay, the maximum minimum value is 27, and it occurs at x equals 3. Find the third-degree polynomial function with real coefficients satisfying the given conditions. -6 and 5i are zeros, f of 4 equals 41. Let me ask you a question. How many zeros? So how many zeros a third-degree polynomial function must have? Real zeros? Oh, not real zeros, the total number of zeros for a third-degree polynomial function. So problem 9, we have a third-degree polynomial function. How many zeros this function must have? Please answer quickly. Okay, the degree of the function is given in the problem. How many zeros this function will have? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So a polynomial function with a real coefficient, if the polynomial function has degree 3, then it must have 3 zeros. 3 zeros. You are given 2, -6 and 5i. So, but the function has a real coefficient. It means that if one of the zeros is a complex number, then there must be a second complex number as a zero. So if we have 1 zero, which is 5i, we must have another complex zero, -5i. The complex conjugate of 5i. The complex conjugate of 5i. Okay, so the third zero will be -5i. And then we can write the function f of x in the form leading coefficient times x minus first zero, -6, x minus second zero, 5i, times x minus third zero, -5i. And simplify it. So x plus 6 times x minus 5i times x plus 5i. And we can simplify it even more. Since we have a difference times sum, we can rewrite as a difference of squares. A times x plus 6 times x minus 5i squared. And 5i squared. And you know that I squared is -1, so we have it in the form x squared minus 5. So if the zero is 6 minus 5i, then the complex zero is 6 plus 5i, and you can also use the difference of squares to get the expression with real coefficients. and you do everything on the same way. But on the test, you will have the simplified version without real part of the complex number. X squared plus 25. So we can simplify the form of f of x to this form, and then we can use the second condition. F of 4 equals 41. F of 4. If you substitute 4 into the equation of f of x, you can solve it for a. A is still unknown. And in this equation, it is the only unknown because we substitute 4 for x. 4 plus 6 times 4 squared, 16 plus 25. And you know that it must be equal to 41. So a times 10 times 16 plus 25, 41 equals 41. A times 400, okay, we don't need it. We can actually, we are solving for a. Yes, we want to isolate a on the left. We divide by 10 and by 41 on the left and on the right. So on the left, the numbers are both cancelled. On the right, 41 and 41 are cancelled, and we get that a equals 1 over 10. So the leading coefficient is 1 over 10. Again. Okay, and we go to the next problem. Given the function f of x equals 5x minus 9 is one-to-one function, so it has an inverse. We are going to find this inverse function. Okay, the strategy for finding an inverse. First, we write y instead of f of x to make it simple. Y equals 5x minus 9. Second, we interchange x and y. So interchange x and y. We write the same equation, but x instead of y and y instead of x. And then we solve for y. So we isolate y on one side of the equation. Let us isolate it on the right. Add 9 to the left and to the right. X plus 9 on the left, 5y on the right. And then we divide by 5 on the left and on the right. So x plus 9 over 5 equals y. X plus 9 over 5. This must be a multiple choice problem because typing such an equation is not so, it's a biased thing. It's hard to grade. Many ways how to type it. Okay, the next problem, polynomial inequality. Okay, polynomial inequality. I think it's also a multiple choice problem. Okay, first thing, we must find boundary points. The points where the expression, this function on the left, you can call it f of x, change its sign. Okay, so to find these boundary points, we solve the equation x squared minus 8x plus 6 equal to 0. And here we maybe don't need a quadratic formula. We just first try to find the solution by trial and error. The sum, so 6 must be the sum. Oh, wait a minute. 6 must be the product. And -8 must be the sum of the two coefficients. So like, let us try 2 and 3. No, wait a minute. Okay, I think I mixed up something. I think I wanted to write 6 here and 8 here. So the product 2 and 4, and the sum must be -2 plus -4 equal to 0. So we have two boundary points, x equal to 2 and x equal to 4. Okay, so 2 and 4, and both points are not to be included into the solution set because we have less but not equal sign. And then we must determine the signs on each interval. Here there is a trick with the quadratic function. You know how the graph of quadratic function goes? Yes, like this. Yes, so the value of f of x is negative in between the points and positive to the left and to the right. You can also find f of x at every interval. So let us take you can take the test point like f of 0 on this interval. It will be 8, so greater than 0, and the test point for every other interval to see that what is the sign on this interval. So negative, the function is negative on the interval from 2 to 4. So the rational inequality, okay, the same thing. So first, boundary points. X minus 3 equal to 0 and x plus 8 equal to 0. You solve the equation, you get 2 points, x equals 3 and x equal -8. You draw the point on number line, -8 and 3. Then be careful, so we have greater than or equal sign. It means that the point should be included into the interval, but be careful, x cannot be equal to -8. Therefore, -8 is not to be included into the solution set. Okay, and now determine the intervals, the sign of f of x at every interval. Let me start with f of 0. So the first test point, 0. F of 0 is -3/8 is less than 0. So between -8 and 3, f of x is negative. So since there are no squared terms, squared factors here, we are sure that the sign will change at every boundary point. So the function will be greater than or equal to 0 on two intervals, from -∞ to -8. We are not including -8 since it's not in the domain of the function f. And then on the second interval from 3 to infinity. Find the vertical asymptotes, if any, and the values of x corresponding to whole, if any, of the graph of the rational function. Okay, this function x plus 8 divided by x squared minus 64 can be simplified. We can factor the denominator. X plus 8 divided by x minus 8 times x plus 8, since x squared minus 64 is a difference of squares. You can add that the domain of the function is x is not equal to 8, x is not equal to negative 8. So then you can simplify the function divided by x minus 8. So canceling out x plus 8 in the numerator and in the denominator, we simplify to 1 over x minus 8. And after simplifying, we can tell that x equal to 8 is a vertical asymptote of a function. But negative 8 is not a vertical asymptote because the function is not increasing or decreasing without bound at this point. So the vertical asymptote is x equal 8. What about negative 8? The negative 8 is just a whole, but not a vertical asymptote. Find the distance between the pair of points. Okay, the distance formula. So x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So the difference, of course, it doesn't matter x1 minus x2 or x2 minus x1. Anyway, it will be positive because you square them. So 14 minus 5, 9 squared, plus 19 minus 7, 12 squared. Remember, both these squared are positive. Okay, and so let me check. So 14 minus 5 is 9 squared, 12 squared. Okay, 81 plus 144. 220 square root of 225, which is 15. So you'll have here some expressions like square root of 20. It can be simplified as square of 4 times 5, which is 2 square roots of 5, or square root of 18, which must be simplified as square root of 9 times 2 equal to 3 square roots of 2, and so on. And I think it will be a multiple choice question because the answer involves square roots. Find the domain of the following function. Square root of x plus 5 plus square root of 2 minus x. Okay, we have two square roots. Square root is defined for, so the expression under the square root must be positive. Non-negative. Why exactly? Not positive, non-negative. Okay, and these two. It means we have two conditions. We have two conditions. First, x plus 5 must be greater than or equal to 0, and 2 minus x must be greater than or equal to 0. Solving the equation, we get x must be greater than or equal to 5, and x, wait a minute, negative x must be greater than or equal to negative 2. When you multiply by negative 1 the equation, remember you just change the sign, so x less than or equal to 2. Let us draw these two conditions on one number line, greater than okay, it's a little bit bad. This is not okay, here is the mistake. I subtract 5 on the left and on the right and get x is greater than or equal to -5. Okay, now it's better. -5 greater than or equal to -5 and less than or equal to 2. So the interval, this interval from -5 to 2. So in some variants, like it will be something like x, let us take the same one, x plus 5 plus x minus 2, like this, for example. Let's go g of x. Then the first condition will be the same, x is greater than or equal to -5. For the second condition, you will get x minus 2 greater than or equal to 0, which means x greater than or equal to 2. Let us draw the both conditions on the same line. Number line, -5 greater than -5 and 2 greater than 2. Okay. Then the function is defined when both conditions are satisfied, so the answer will be x greater than or equal to 2, or the interval from 2 to infinity. Then I will type the word infinity here. Okay, and the last question that will help you to omit one question. So if you wouldn't do one of the question, you can replace it with a synthetic division question and get a score greater than 100 if you want. So you use the synthetic division. So it must be also done on paper, so that I see the solution. Okay. So the divisor must be in the form x minus c. So we write, so c is 3 here, so we write 3 on the left. Then we write the coefficients of the dividend. 1, 5, -4, +6. And then we have 3 lines here. First, we write 1 down in the bottom line, then we multiply it by 3 and write the product in the second line, 3. Then we add the numbers, 5 plus 3 is 8. Then we repeat the procedure, 3 times 8, 24. 24 minus 4, 20. 20 times 3, 60. 60 plus 6, 66. So the remainder is 66. Or 66 over x minus 3, which is the same. I'm going to type it this for that. Okay. So, if you have any questions, you are welcome. Please use Proctorio correctly. Use Proctorio correctly, so your head must be always on the screen. So, like, you see me with a small icon of me during the lecture. So this is what I should see when you take a Proctorio exam, so that I see what are you doing, what are you using. So on your, I don't see exactly what you use, what is lying on your table, but at least I usually see very good whether you work with your paper or you have some other gadgets here. It is actually not so hard to see when the student is typing something all the time on the left or on the right and using other materials. You can see a small piece of paper with your own notes. I will not provide formulas to this exam, but you can use a small piece of paper with your own notes, a half of a normal piece of paper if you need, so you can make this note sheet when you prepare to the exam. Okay, so Proctorio must show. If Proctorio asks for a password, that means you must press on Secure Exam proctoring tool that is in the same folder. It usually solves the issue. If you cannot solve the issue, you can chat with Proctorio. So the problems with access to Proctorio are usually solved by Proctorio team. You Google Proctorio support, and in the middle of the page there is an option chat, live chat, and you can chat with them. They usually help if you should adjust your computer. So if your piece of paper like this with your own notes, I'm not providing formulas this time because actually you don't need them, but you can use your own notes. Okay. Okay, so if you occasionally log off from the exam, you should contact me as soon as possible, and you can send me your notes if you have them. If you have done half of the exam, you can send me your notes. You should contact me, then I open the second attempt for you. The second attempt will have different questions, and you solve the problem that you haven't solved by the first attempt. So yesterday I had a contemporary math exam, and they had very bad maybe it is sometimes it is a bad connection on the student's end, but maybe yesterday it was something wrong with the Blackboard. I don't know, many students have lost connection during the exam and had to start a new version of the exam. You can ask a question if you raise the hand. You can, you are all muted, but then you can unmute yourself and ask a question if you want. Any other questions? Okay, you can ask a question. So, okay, I will try to be available during the day, but I'm better available in the morning. In the afternoon, you usually have to wait an hour or two until I come to the computer. I'm very busy in the afternoons. Okay, thank you so much and good luck on the exam.